Hey guys, before I started this review, just recently, you probably have all heard about it, Chadwick Boseman passed away of cancer. So before I start this review, I just want to say rest in peace. He was a great guy and he made a lot of awesome movies. Black Panther is an iconic role, one of my favorite superheroes, and it's just so sad that he passed away. Like, it's just it hits really hard because I'm a huge MCU fan, and it's just it's not the best. It's not the best day for a lot of us here. So I just want to say rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. That man was a great guy, and I hope his family is doing well. Tenet is written and directed by Christopher Nolan and stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, and Kenneth Branagh, and armed with only one word, Tenet, fighting for the entire world. A protagonist must travel through a twilight world of international espionage with one mission to unfold something beyond real time. That is the plot I pulled off of IMDb because if I tried to describe the entire plot of this movie, I'd have to watch this movie maybe 3 times more or watch an explained video because I am confused out of my mind. But let's talk about it. So, Tenet was a movie that I was really looking forward to. I love Christopher Nolan. He's a great director. He's always fresh. He's always new. And Tenet is new and fresh. I appreciated that with this movie. And you know what? Let's kick it off with all the positives I have with this movie. Tenet has some outstanding cinematography and action sequences. The action sequences in this movie are like beyond what I could think of ever even doing. Like, I don't know, understand how much in-camera work Christopher Nolan was able to do with these action sequences, because in the third act there's these action sequences where people are moving forward, some people are moving backwards, there's explosions that are like not like they're going in reverse, and then there's explosions that are actually happening with some beautiful cinematography. And I just thought the action sequences and the cinematography in this movie and the direction just as a whole was awesome. I also really enjoyed the performances in this movie. I think that John David Washington was very good in this movie, as well as Robert Pattinson. And Elizabeth Debicki was probably the heart and soul of this movie. She has the most emotional background and the most emotion to this movie. And Kenneth Branagh is just the biggest dick in this movie. I mean, this guy sucks. You just want to see him dead, and he plays that role very well in this film. I also think that the concept is pretty cool. I really enjoyed the concept of this film. I think that the idea that I was able to understand was pretty interesting, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is interesting if you understand at least maybe 10% of it. And the score as well, I also think is really good. It has this very intense score, and then there's this light, kind of somber score. I do have an issue with it, but we'll get on to that a bit later in this review. But overall, I think that the score is great. The action sequences are fantastic. The concept is very cool. The performances are very strong. But it's so confusing. Like, this movie has so much exposition, which is probably my biggest negative. Like, if you tune out for a minute in this exposition, you are completely lost throughout the entire rest of the movie. There's so many scenes where people have to sit down and have very confusing conversations, and you have to listen to every single word. And I just don't like that convey of storytelling. I think that maybe they could have done it a bit better, and they do it better in some sequences where I understood what was happening, especially one towards the second act of this movie. But there's some scenes where you just have to sit down and talk, and then it like tries to help you follow the plot. But it's so confusing, this movie, and you probably have to see it twice or 3 times. Like, I was watching this movie with a lot of my friends, and that none of us could get it. Like, my older brother, who's 20, couldn't get it. My friend who I was sitting beside, every time we got something, we'd look at each other and be like, ah, that makes sense now. I got that. And like, my other 2 friends could not fully get the movie. Like, no one could really understand this movie because you have to watch it multiple times, which I just don't love, and I wish that they would have just did a better job of that. And also, there's not a lot of character development. There's not a lot of emotion, actually, besides Elizabeth Debicki's character. There's just not a lot of emotion. Like, you don't really get to know John David Washington's name. You know him as the protagonist in this movie. You actually never get to know his name here, which is kind of disappointing because I wish I got to know his name, but you don't really, which is kind of disappointing here. And also, the score, while I do think it was great, I do have an issue with it. It overplays the dialogue, so you can't really hear what was happening when people are talking because the score is in the background. Like, imagine if I started my movies like this and then there's this, my music was just in the background. Try and see if you can understand what I'm saying. Yeah, so I thought this movie was pretty good. I really enjoyed some parts of it. I got that overall. I really enjoyed it. If you can understand that, like, I mean, sure, you probably could, but it was very difficult because the music was just blasting over my voice, and that's kind of what happened with the characters in this movie. Sometimes you couldn't even hear what they were saying, and then you're totally lost. So while I think this concept is cool, I can't really follow the plot here, and there's no character development in this movie a lot, but this movie is saved by beautiful action sequences, some outstanding directing, some great performances, an awesome opening scene as well, which is probably my favorite action sequence in the movie, either that or the end, and a really good score and an idea that I thought was very cool that I could tap onto, but it was just I think it was maybe a bit too much. I'm going to give Tenet a B+. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Stay tuned for more reviews very soon. I'm going to be looking at Transformers Dark of the Moon and the Emoji Movie next. So stay tuned. And hit that like and subscribe button. If you saw Tenet, tell me what you thought of it down below. Did you understand this movie completely, or were you completely lost like me? All that fun stuff down below in the comment section. Hit that like and subscribe button, and have a great day.